Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs Pregame show, and I have good news. Once again, the sun rose today, guys. The Cubs have lost 4 straight, but the sun rose today, and now they get to play a day game against Cleveland Guardians. So there's your spin zone for the day. Jared Wyllys, good friend Danny Rockett, reoccurring guest now. Welcome back, man.
Hey, thanks for having me back here. I love talking to you guys about the Cubs. Under usually better circumstances, and we had a little bit more hope last time I was on this show, but we can get back there in this pregame, I think. A little hope.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this will be what rights the ship.
Yeah.
We've been talking about
that's why I'm here.
Luke's on vacation. They haven't won since Luke left. So
right.
Maybe this is the mojo that we need.
Yeah, and if they do win and they win over the weekend, then I'm going to be dragging your ass back on here on Wednesday.
Cancel whatever.
I can't come. I've got a wedding to attend. No, you're coming to the CHGO show. Get over here.
It's either Luke or you, Danny. One
of you has to be here.
Yeah. Okay, so if you don't know, you can follow me on Twitter at Cody_CHGO. Jared Wyllys, JW Wyllys, or J Wyllys.
That's right.
2 Ys.
2 Ys.
And then San Ranto for Danny. Cubs, Guardians, Friday, 1:20. You know the vibes. I guess we could start with like some of the news and notes that dropped this morning. Stroman's going to start tomorrow for the Cubs, which is good news because remember his last start had the blister. He came out. Wasn't a great start to begin with, but the blister was a thing. So it's good news that he's going to start tomorrow. Patrick Wisdom is DHing for Iowa today. And Adrian Sampson threw 3 innings last night in Arizona, and he's part in the Arizona Complex League. He's part of a 5-man rotation right now, so he's pitching every 5th day, which in the grand scheme is just good to see him doing something. Mm-hmm. I remember in the offseason I was like high on him because he pitched well for them last year, and I just thought he would be a really good depth piece for them. And then Seiya Suzuki's doing batting practice today, which whatever. I hope.
Well, good. He needs practice.
Yeah, he needs the practice right now, right? So Ryan, he's at the ballpark. He sent us all those notes, so thanks to him. I think the big thing going into this game, for me at least, and we'll talk about the lineup, but Nick Madrigal starting today after, the not knowing how many outs there were last night. Mm-hmm. All I can say is I remember a time when Javi Baez got benched because he forgot how many outs there were, or he made a base running blunder that he should know. I mean, hell, Javi Baez made a base running blunder for the Tigers this year, and AJ Hinch benched him the next day, and he went on a hot streak after that. He's still his numbers are still not great, but again, that's that. All I'm saying is, for me at least, I don't know who they could play at third base as much as I want them to play Morel there just because, but they clearly don't want to do it, and that's the only reason I can think that Madrigal's in the lineup. And if you could agree to disagree, whatever. That's how I feel about it.
I can add some context to that just because it did come up during the pregame time with David Ross today. Okay. He addressed some of that because he was asked about, his feelings about the 2 decisions, Madrigal and Morel. And he said, yes, I get angry and I get frustrated by that, but the way that I show that perhaps has changed from what I would have done even a year or 2 ago in his managerial career, because he was asked specifically about Javi Baez being benched in that type of a situation. And Ross's words were, I reacted a little differently then than I probably would now. Good or bad, whether or not anyone thinks that that's the right way to be, that was his explanation, because he likened it to when you have kids and your kids make a mistake and you recognize that your son or daughter is feeling bad about doing something wrong, does it help to pile on and continue to be angry with them?
Yeah, I'm doubtful that it would help him to sit there on the bench and watch the game feeling bad about himself. But at the same time, it makes you wonder about the kind of the larger picture here and why their head's not in the game. Yeah. Why does even, like, I know we're talking about Madrigal, but why did Morel think it was the right decision to bunt with nobody out in first and third? It's like, bro, you're the 3 hitter. Come on, man. It's like, what is going on in Madrigal's head to be like, this is the move? Like, that's what I'm wondering. Like, why? Not that you're going to discuss every single game situation that you could possibly have, but like, what's going on that's making them think that that's the right move? And like, where's the baseball IQ?
I mean, for Madrigal though, I think that bunt was probably his hardest hit ball of the night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did Boog give the exit velo?
For what it's worth, Ross cited an example of a playoff game where it was out number 2 and he forgot the number of outs and he took the ball and tossed it into the stands, forgetting that it was 2 outs instead of 3, and that was a playoff game. So he said, I think part of his response is coming from, I've done something very similar to this. And again, this is his explanation. So people can like it, not like it, agree with it. That's your.
I mean, I
you're
never
free to
want
do that.
Madrigal to really be in the lineup that much, to be honest. So, like, today is just a little bit of the poop cherry on top.
So Gary in the chat, he says Young has played a little third in the minors, so maybe they could have used Young there.
Morel has played third base more than Nick Madrigal has in his entire career. Why the Cubs don't want to do it?
When you include his minor league
But
career.
yeah, minor league,
Yeah.
with the Aguilas in the Dominican Republic, all over the place. But for whatever, even on the Cubs, he used to play third base, but they forgot. And so I don't know why they won't put him over there. He doesn't look good in right field where they've been playing him. He's fine as a DH, of course, but they don't with Wisdom out. You really don't have that guy, I guess. So maybe that's why he's in there. But
I've let up on my anger for the decision making on that in recent weeks. 1, because the Cubs are winning or were winning, and 2, because Madrigal started hitting. And me personally, you in some aspect you're right, Danny. What is sitting him for one day gonna do? Is he gonna sit in the dugout and pout for for the entire game?
learn his lesson.
I just think it's it's sometimes that lights a fire under someone. You know what I mean? That's my problem with it. I think that he should be sitting today, and to me, the only reason that he's not is because they refuse to play to even give Christopher Morel a shot at third base, even though they continue to play Mancini at first the whole season, despite how bad he's been over there. And then, we could say this about other guys too. When Seiya Suzuki was out, the guys they tried in right field, they weren't much better.
Mastroboni was out there misjudging
They've played
balls,
guys out of position all year. But God forbid, let's play Christopher Morel at third base for one game. I don't understand it, bro. I don't understand it. So that is what it is. Thank you for providing that, because I didn't see anything. Ryan didn't tweet anything related to it. I didn't see anyone else tweet anything about it either. So
yeah, it just came from, it was our pregame session with him, so it just happened. So I imagine it might see some of that come out later. But that was he talked about it at length, and again, I know I keep saying this, but that's at least his explanation. That's how he laid out for us why he's approached this the way that he has. And whether or not we feel like it's the right way to do things, that's...
And some dumb move like that only gets amplified because you only scored one run in the game, and you ruined Kyle Hendricks' good start. So, if you end up, putting up, you could score 4 runs, you win. If they end up scoring just even that many runs, it's then this is all forgotten. But it really gets amplified in a loss as well.
Yeah.
So,
I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the show. Hit the like button. We got... Lawrence, how many people we got in the show right now? 45 people watching.
Yeah, like us all.
That's
45
pretty good for a
you.
pregame show for a team that's lost 4 straight. Hit the like button for
it's
Danny.
It's a beautiful summer Friday.
And
Friday.
Let's
bring on some baseball.
Yeah. If you're just tuning in for the week, Luke Stuckmeyer is on vacation. They're 0-3 since he went on vacation, and I haven't let him forget it. I'm going to drag his ass back here if they don't win today.
Today's the day.
Today's the day. Danny changes everything. He changes the vibes. All right, so we just talked about Madrigal being in the lineup. I guess we can look at the entire lineup now. And to be honest with you, I like the lineup. I like today's lineup. You got Mike Tauchman in right field leading off, Nico Horner at second base, batting second, Morel batting third again, DHing today, Ian Happ in left batting fourth, Dansby Swanson batting fifth at short, Bellinger out in center for second day in a row, batting sixth, Yan Gomes back in at catcher, batting seventh, Jared Young batting eighth, playing first base, and then Madrigal, like we said, hitting ninth and at third base. Now, the one thing I will say about Madrigal is if you are going to put him in the lineup, I do like him at the 9 hole just because, the player profile that he is, it makes sense there. I just wish that he wasn't playing third base all the time. But, yeah, if there's any gripe I have about this is like Ian Happ has struggled this week. He had such a hot streak in London and even last week in Pittsburgh. But this week, like in the series against the Phillies, he was not great. And I understand, he's one of the longest tenured players on your team outside of Kyle Hendricks. As far as position players, he is like you extended him a couple years. He's coming off an all-star season. Overall, he's earned the run that he has got to be in the middle of the lineup. But man, like, I just don't like him hitting cleanup with the lack of power that he brings. And I think that given other guys, like I like that they're using Morel in the middle of the lineup there now a lot more, because for a while it felt like he was always hitting in the anywhere from 6 down, but they're consistently putting him in the middle of the lineup now, which I like. So I can't complain about that, but
as long as he doesn't bunt, yeah.
But Happ, like, I either like Happ hitting first or second or fifth or lower. That's where I feel about Happ right now. I don't like him third or fourth because he's not driving in runs.
This is where you might see once Wisdom is able to return, and we might see that shift a little bit, because really he and Morel are the two guys who have the best chance to provide you with some power. That's not a great situation. They're definitely – this is not a team that's going to hit for a lot of power, but the two guys who can do it are Morel and Wisdom. So when Wisdom returns, yeah, you might see Happ bump down in the order a little bit to a spot that's more suited to him. And two, you might also see it during this stretch where they've got 13 games in 13 days and a lot of tough games. This might be the time to just give him one of those – it's a day off for you. You're going to sit, rest your legs, whatever. So especially as a guy does start to scuffle at the plate, then sometimes that's the time to take a physical and a mental break for a day. And
We're getting towards the All-Star break too, so there's been a bunch of months and little mileage. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Right.
Yeah, you bringing up Wisdom is, oh man, like in the offseason, I was someone who was like, if he could just be like an average player, I feel like we'll be okay with whatever he brings, because he's going to hit the homers. But, man, the strikeout rate is really skyrocketed, even worse than last year. It's back up to like as high as it was in 2021. And I thought he was despite how bad the lineup that he was surrounded in last year, despite how bad it was last year, I thought that he didn't strike out nearly as much as he did in 2021. So I was hoping that, if he could just keep it around like 30, 31%, that's not terrible. You can live with that. After April ended, it's really skyrocketed back over 40%. It's just like, this is who he is, and I guess that's why he's moved around on other teams throughout his career, stuff like that. I don't know, man. Like,
you look at the lineup. I mean, you're talking about your power hitters. You're expecting more out of like somebody like Suzuki's out of the lineup right now. 13 home runs right away for Patrick Wisdom. Morel hits all of his home runs basically in a 2-week span. So you've got these dudes that come in, tons of power, and then they completely disappear. Who are you going to use in that fourth spot? Who is your 3, 4, 5 hitter? Who are your boppers? Because they've got a lot of guys that are pretty good at hitting home runs, but they don't have a 40 home run hitter. Yeah. Like we just saw Kyle Schwarber butchering baseballs out in left field, but also first pitch of the game yesterday. That was his 21st dong. Now he's hitting 186, but we don't have. But so is Wisdom.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. But Wisdom's not going to hit you 40 home runs this year. Schwarber might. Yeah. So you might have a guy that hits 30, but you don't have like a quintessential like this dude's just going to be pounding baseballs all summer.
I saw someone in the chat say something. I think it was Near, and he said they need to trade Bellinger before his value completely dips. And like I hear him from a certain standpoint, because Bellinger hasn't hit a home run since April. He started the season so well, and then he kind of hit a little bit of a 2-week slump. Then the injury in Houston happened. He was out for a month, and ever since he came back, the biggest thing that he's probably done is get that go-ahead hit, I want to say, against Pittsburgh when Pittsburgh came to Wrigley Field 2 weeks ago. And other than that, as far as driving and runs, he hasn't done much of any of that. He's gotten some hits. He's had a handful of hits the last few nights. That's great. He's helping. He's trying to help the team score runs, but in considering where he's at in the lineup, they need him to drive in more runs. They need him to slug the ball. Like, that's what he did in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Yeah.
But him specifically, he is someone in his career that's hit 40 home runs. I understand that it's been a few years since he did that, but that, like, the way he was playing in April, it looked like he was primed for at least a 30 home run season. And I don't know if this knee bruise is something that is the reason why that power outage has been a thing since April ended. But that, to me, like we said this in the offseason, like if Cody Bellinger has a good year, the Cubs will have a lot of success. And because he has, I wouldn't say he's completely fallen off, but because he hasn't continued what he did in April, you've seen the inconsistency from this Cubs offense. So,
for sure, because what he could do for them is exactly what we're talking about. He could also, I mentioned Wisdom earlier, but really, like, ideally you have the Cody Bellinger who's capable of hitting 40 home runs, because he's also capable of batting for a much higher average than Wisdom is ever going to while hitting 40 home runs. That's the guy, if you really want, given how their roster is constructed now, that's the guy that you want in that spot. But
batting fourth.
Batting fourth.
Yeah, but City's sixth today or something like that.
But it's just kind of a question of, like you said, we need to see where he's going to start to show consistently, like, that he's found his form, and some of that could be coming back from injury. He was out for a long time, but at some point you've got to see that so that then you can confidently slot him up in the order, because otherwise, he becomes your number 6 hitter, and then you're still left with this hole at that spot in the lineup.
Yeah. All right, well, we could sit here and bitch about the lineup for another 10 minutes.
And we will.
I know on the San Ranto podcast, you guys do a segment called The Bitch Clock. I really love that one. I was happy to participate in it in the beginning of the season. And so, I could sit here and bitch about our offense.
You're on the clock, Cody.
Yeah, for the next 10 minutes I could do it. But I do feel good about the pitching matchup today. At Vegas, the Cubs are actually kind of heavily favored today. Last I checked, at -195 on the money line at DraftKings, and big part of that is because Justin Steele's pitching for the Cubs today. He's 8-2 with a 2.62 earned run average coming in today. He's coming off the start in London where he had me ready to run through a wall coming off the mound with the pictures that he posted on Instagram. And that's what I'm referencing. He just had a great start. I think he had a no-hitter going at one point in that game, and then he just they won 9-1 that day. Like that was when the vibes were as immaculate as they could have been.
It's the last time we won.
Yeah, it was the last time they won a game. So
taking a turn since then.
Yeah. So it's Justin Steele versus Cal Quantrill, who's I believe is coming off the injured list. Correct? He's 2-4 with a 5.61 earned run average. So I've seen this movie before, guys, where they go up against a guy with this high of an earned run average, and they get the offense just decides that, we're going to get shoved against it today. But
he's coming off of 2 pretty bad starts, though. I think he gave up 8, and he gave up 5 against the White Sox. So had to mention
and
that.
we know that
That's
offense.
when you know it's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I feel good about Steele going today, coming off that start, and it feels like that forearm thing he had is a thing of a past, which was something that I think we were all really nervous about.
Scary,
for
sure. Yeah, I mean, if there's on paper at least, if there's a scenario where the Cubs can turn things around from this little skid that they've been on for 4 games now, you can't write it out any better than this. Justin Steele on the mound Friday afternoon. It's hot outside. The wind's blowing out a little bit. Today should be the day that everything shifts, but there's no guarantee.
Because Cleveland, I think I saw that they have hit the fewest amount of home runs. So even if the wind is blowing out, I don't know if they've got the guys to really do it. But the Cubs got maybe a couple guys. Maybe today is the day Hap justifies batting cleanup.
Maybe
gets back on track a little bit.
Maybe this will just be the afternoon of doubles, just banging off the ivy
wall.
covered walls.
I love it, just like a Mark Grace game, just like
double,
boom, boom, just ivy flying in the air.
Yeah,
it just
Andre Dawson getting hit. Yeah,
yes.
I don't think I've ever felt like this, like as much as I ever have in this season. Like throughout my Cubs fandom, I don't think I've ever had to sit here and beg for for like doubles from an offense, because like we're a singles hitting team, dude.
No
like,
slug, man. Just
yeah.
no slug.
I'm asking for some doubles. Hit some off the ivy, like Danny said, man.
Yes.
Like, man.
Leaves flying.
Yeah,
That's right. That's what we want to see. Those ivy leaves flying around.
Yeah. So, yeah, no. I think even with the wind blowing out, I think Steele plays well this because he's trying to get ground balls anyway,
Yeah.
right? So we'll know right away if he has it or not, if he's giving up a bunch of liners or hard contact in general.
Somebody says you guys sound delusional. Well, yeah, we're Cubs fans. Like, isn't that part of it?
Isn't any sports fandom delusion to
Yeah,
some
there's got to be
extent?
some
I mean,
element.
come
That's what
on.
makes it fun.
Come on.
But thanks
Yeah.
for writing in.
Yeah, thanks, Niran. Niran's here all the time, so I just
Yeah.
let him say whatever he
We
wants to say.
appreciate you being
It's like
here.
the same thing
Yeah.
with Michael Collada. He's the classic, pessimistic. He's like, Rick is just cheap. We stinks. Like,
Yeah.
we're
You
just
got-
happy you're here, man. I appreciate you.
We need a little bit of everything. It
Yeah.
helps keep it all in perspective.
Yeah. Who else we got in here? We got Mike Dubs. Shout out to you, man. He asked, what did Cleveland do in 2016? They lost to the Chicago Cubs in the World Series. People
I
forget
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
some
also
people
remember
forget,
that.
but you didn't.
Yeah, no, I was there actually. I saw it with my own eyes. They were a little blurry from the beer, but I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of fading from memory though. I could use another one of those to kind of rejigger everything.
Right. It's been a while.
It's been
so,
7 years now. Yeah.
7 whole years. I can't imagine.
Don't your cells all regenerate every 7 years? So I'm technically a completely different person now.
So it's
Yeah.
time.
It's
This-
time.
this
It's
is the
time,
year.
everybody.
Craig
Got
says,
all new rocket cells coming at you.
Craig says, Cubs fans delusional? No way.
Never. Never.
Edward says, optimism is about 75% delusion in his opinion. Hey, that's
Exactly.
fine. Gary says Jordan Wicks pitching for the Iowa Cubs tonight, so I guess that's something to look forward to. That's
Something
on
to
the
keep an
farm.
eye on, yeah.
Something to keep an eye on. I am excited for him potentially being on this roster later in the year. I just don't know in what role, because like obviously they have unless they were to trade Hendricks or Stroman or Smiley, whatever, then
Or
I guess
all of
that
them.
opens up a spot. But I hope that's not the case of why he's
Yeah.
on this roster.
Yeah, that'll be kind of like we talked about last night in the post game, where
Mm-hmm.
you kind of wait and see what that trade deadline looks like, and you might start to see some of these guys get a look
Mm-hmm.
in the latter half of the season. But who knows? We've seen guys like that who are slated to be starters eventually, but their first look in the majors sometimes is coming out of the bullpen. So like I said last night, my expectation is their trades will be mostly based on some of these bullpen arms that are really had a good first half of the season, time to get what you can for a couple of them, and then mostly keep everything else the same. And that might be where Jordan Wicks is able to slide in and some of those kinds of things. We'll see how that all shakes out.
So much of it depends on how the next really 10
Right.
games go before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Can they
I'd
get
even
anywhere
say
close
like
to
the
500?
next 20 games. I do think that how July goes will depend on what they do. And right now, I still feel like they're mainly going to stand pat more than anything else, unless they get to 10 under again and just
Rickett
really
says
fall
they're
apart.
buyers.
Yeah, well, he said that on Saturday, the last time they won, and we haven't won since. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
maybe he
We'll
should have
see.
just shut up. I don't know.
I usually feel that way.
Niran has a parody idea for you. He says you can write it's not delusional parody for it's not unusual.
There you go.
I can hear it in my head now.
It's not,
It's not delusional to be a Cubs fan.
See, you're already started. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yes.
I'll have it for you by postgame.
I would say post game. I'm sure Danny's gonna sing us a song. He told us.
I'm even going to wear a Tom Jones outfit.
He told us that he wrote us a song.
I will
again.
not be throwing underwear at you. Don't worry.
Last time Danny was on the show, he wrote a song to us to the tune of
YMCA, yeah.
which was a
See?
vibe. I had a ton of fun with that. So, make sure to tune in for post game right after the game right here on CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Barb, I don't see you in the chat, but if you come and watch this during the game, weirdly enough, we will be live after the game. I guess before we get to who you got, I'll give you the hit parlay for today. Jared Young, Nico Horner, and Ian Happ. So I put Ian Happ in there specifically because I want to cheer for him to get a hit today because I need him to have offense. And Jared Young he's hit in the last 2 games. That's why you're 2-0 in who you got.
That's right.
And Nico Horner's had a good week. He's someone on offense who has just continuously been consistent all season, which I like that. So comes out to plus 180 on DraftKings Sportsbook. There is a 20% boost on there today. You can boost that probably around over plus 200. So if y'all want to ride, there you go. Who you got? Shall we do it?
Let's do it.
Jared, going with your guy Jared again.
I'm sticking with my fellow Jared. It's worked for me 2 games in a row now. I'm ride with him as long,
You're going
as,
to
long
Jared.
as I can. That's
Yeah.
right. I am going to Jared.
Ryan's going Morel, and then I'm going Madrigal, not only for the bit, but because this is the only way that I'm going to be able to continue to support this guy is just continue to take him for who you got. Unless they put if Barnhart plays tomorrow, I'm taking Barnhart. But yeah, this is the only way I'm going to be able to do it. So he's coming off a bad game. Hopefully he bounces back today. Brennan's going Swanson, and then Corey's going Hap. Danny, you have one?
I got Cody Bellinger. He's 3 for 9 against Quantrill. So I'm just playing the numbers here, my friends.
Math. I'm not a math
playing
guy,
the pass
but-
line bar here. Come on, sevens.
All right. Well, we got first pitch here in a few minutes. So again, tune in CHGO Sports YouTube channel after the game. We'll be here almost immediately after the game ends, and
If I'm ready, I don't do pre and post a lot, so it might take me a minute.
it will all be based on the law dog.
It's up to me.
If we're able to do it immediately, but within a few minutes of the game ending, we'll
Shortly
be right here.
after the game.
Shortly after. I'm sure all of you, if they win, they'll be celebratory, and if they lose again, then
Well, I saw a
There'll be a lot of
suggestion.
venting.
Saw a suggestion we get out the beer bat just regardless.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah, I think
We
Colada
could
said
sword
that.
fight with them if we lose or
Right.
something like that.
We'll do a beer bat just for fun.
Yeah.
Always
yeah.
put arsenic in it, Just
Anyway, yeah. So again, we'll see you back here after the game for the CHGO Cubs post game show. Me, Jared, and Danny will join you, and let's hope we fly the W.
yeah. W.